we have Pegasus Online, and Franklin and Travis will be here talking to us about logos and the importance of logos. We've been submitting a number of websites, and over here with Pegasus Online, I've actually been able to put a couple in myself, and working on a couple more even this week. But one very, very important aspect when you're building a website is it all starts with the logo. And a lot of companies don't have one, or maybe they got the wrong format, or maybe they want an updated one. But it's really important when you're building a website to make sure to have a logo, because everything stems from there. And I can't speak enough about Pegasus, how just great of a company they are, professional, very easy to work with, very great with customers. I really like the video, just really strong concierge service. And they just have a real professional, strong approach on how they do their marketing. And we're putting the logos in here because it's really important, like I said, when you're selling the website or some of the other things, that the foundation of all marketing really does start with the logo, because you base things for the coloring of the website based upon that logo. So with that being said, I'm going to hand this off to Franklin, and I know you have your partner there, Travis, and we'll go from there. So Franklin, if you could take over the call.
Sure. So, and I'm going to introduce you to Travis Wicks. He's our creative director, and Travis is the expert on logos, and most of the logos that you're seeing there, Travis designed when we get to those. So Travis, I wanted to start with about the congruency, about why a logo is so important for the design of a website.
Sure. Hello, everybody. So what I always tell my clients is logos are kind of the beating heart of an overall design. Understanding that everything, the colors, the fonts, all that are pulled out of that logo. So when we design a website, we look at what's happening in that logo. If there's sharp lines, if there are circles, if we have serif fonts or bright poppy colors, all those aspects get pulled directly into the site's design.
And one of the things, Travis, is to talk just with flat design. So basically everything that you're seeing here in these examples and that we have on our website are all flat design. So Travis, can you just explain what that means?
Sure. So back in the 90s, if you would look at a logo or branding, I like to use Pepsi as an example. You would see gradients throughout the logo. And that was what was called a plastic design. That was the idea, the feature. These days, it's now more focused to a flat design, and there are two competing ideas there. One idea is true flat, and that's kind of Apple. Apple was the pioneer for true flat. And then the other flat design is Google. They actually created what's called material design, which is if you picture paper kind of sitting over top of other sheets of paper, and you have light kind of penetrating that top layer of paper, and what that does below that interaction between the colors. And so those two theories of flat design are really prominent these days, especially on web design, anything online. But if you look at print and material ads like that, you'll see a lot of gradients still. So it's kind of interesting to me that it hasn't penetrated that side yet of the marketing world.
And I want to interject why it's so important, because, we look at, like you mentioned, Google, Apple, you look at any of the big players, Amazon, eBay, Best Buy, any of the stores, they all have flat design. And so as a user, our eyes are accustomed to that design. So if we see a design that's using gradients and or shadows, correct, Travis? Because shadows is also another part of the non-flat design, the older design, correct? Shadowing.
In some cases, I guess the way to put that is, with material design, you want shadows, but they're thoughtful. They're planned shadows. It's not just throwing a drop shadow below an element. It's actually thinking about what that shadow does. Material design is all about how light actually works in reality and mimicking that.
So here, I'm going to interrupt you here. Here's a great example. If you
Sure.
look all the way to the left of the Apple, this is their current. They've got
Yep.
well, actually, Travis, why don't you walk us through what we're looking at right here?
Sure. So on the top left-hand side there, you see the flat Apple logo. It's just black. And the benefit with that is they can actually use any flat color with that and use it with any type of branding or anything. It kind of works everywhere. But if you look right next to it, that's a really good example of plastic design. It's built to look three-dimensional. It's built to look like a piece of plastic sitting on a countertop. And the downside of that is it looks really dated these days. So anytime you see that kind of gradient action in a logo or something like that, your eye automatically assumes it's dated. You'll notice all brands have moved away from that.
And that's what I want. Let me add here too, Travis. And that's the reason why it's so important, because if your logo looks dated, you know, a lot of people don't really understand logos, and consciously they won't pick up, oh, that's a dated logo, but they'll get that feel. They get a feel, and subconsciously they know something isn't right, because they've seen all the, you know, like we talked about Apple's current one, they've seen Google, they've seen all the big sites that they visit on a regular basis, Facebook, etc. And when they see a logo like the second one there that we're looking at, which is the I just lost the name of it, Travis, the type of design.
Plastic?
Plastic, thank you. The plastic design, you know, subconsciously they know something's off, and it also impacts the trust level, because our eyes are accustomed to seeing things. Just like with fashion, we get to see, we see things in fashion. So if I'm dressed like it's 1980, you're going to look at me weird and go, well, something's not right here. What's wrong? Can I trust this guy because he's not in the norm of everything else? So that's just a reason why flat design, and it'll change. You know, eventually it's going to change as well and go back, and who knows where it's going to morph to. But right now, that is the current standard. And so all the designs that we do, we follow the big leaders in the IT world, as well as in the retail commercial space as well. So Travis, the other thing I wanted to cover too is why it's so important to, or what is the advantage to having us do the design and the website?
Oh, sure. So when we do the branding, and I'll give you a good example of what we're dealing with right now. We have a company called, is it okay if I give a company name, Franklin?
Sure.
Over the call? Sure. So it's called Devils in the Details. It's a really fun name. But the problem is they actually took the Tasmanian devil, their designer, and popped it in. And they did it all in a raster program. And I don't want to get too technical, but basically a raster image is like a photograph. So if you blow it up or shrink it down, it will pixelate because it's all built up with pixels. Where we prefer using vector line art, and that allows all our graphics to stay extremely sharp and look really crisp. And they'll work on any size. And so with Devils in the Details, they basically have this image of a car and then the Tasmanian devil on top of that, and then they created something in Photoshop to create that text over top. And so with that client, we can't really use that as a logo. It's a graphic, is what it is. It's good for T-shirts, but not for websites. So the idea now is that we're going to go in and remove that text, and we have a designer going in and actually drawing out that top part, the text part. And with that, she's going to create a color and a few other design decisions with that, like the colors that can go with that, the sharpness of certain details, and she's pulling other details out, like little specular highlights and things like that. And then when we go to the website part, the design part for the website, we're going to actually go through and create the website around that logo. So it's a very custom experience. We want people to view our site and think that everything was built around that logo. Because so many times today we'll see design studios, they'll actually just take a template and pop your logo in it. And it might be blue and your logo might be blue, like the Agora Advantage logo is blue, but it might not match that exact blue. And there's kind of a disconnect there, a break in continuity. So we think that very custom approach is very important because it makes the user's website look like everything was designed around that logo and everything feels like it was built around that branding. And the whole website was built from the ground up just for that one client.
The other thing I want to interject here on the advantage of doing the logo on the website is, as an example, we have an acupuncturist here in Portland, Oregon that we're working with, and we did her logo. And doing it with her, we were able to show her as she was doing the logo process, here's the way it would work or could work on your website. You know, so if she went with color choices or if she went with a monochromatic, you know, with colors behind, like the Apple is monochromatic, they have the white and the black. And like Travis said, it can sit on any color. And so we showed them, you know, or we showed her that how her logo could function within the website. And that was part of her logo, you know, her choice on how to work with the logo is how it would interact and how she wanted to see it on her website. The other thing that Travis touched on, and I just want to emphasize, is the logo needs to work on any size. And it's real important, you know, because you want it to work on a billboard or a pen, you know, and everything in between, on your car,
yep,
business cards, everything in between. And a lot of logos, they function well at one particular size, but not at, you know, another size. So we make sure that, and Travis is really, 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 really good about this, is making sure that, you know, it sizes up and it sizes down. And when we're showing the different options for the logos, we always show them small as well as large so that they can see what it is. Anything you want to add to that one, Travis?
Sure, yeah. So at the end of the process, we give what's called a design or a logo pack. And that logo pack is basically designed for any future designer down the road. The idea is you can hand this package over to any designer, whether they're printing a T-shirt or ballpoint pens or a billboard, and that logo will work 100% with whatever system that they're using. And yeah, we want everything to be legible, the text to be legible at any size, everything. So you'll notice that we use a lot of bold text, and we want everything to work. And another thing that we do is we discourage people adding
taglines.
What is it called? Yeah, taglines.
Sorry. Yeah, you read my mind. That was the next thing on my list.
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of clients will want to add a really lengthy tagline underneath. And the problem is when you shrink that down, it really becomes garbled, and you can't really understand what that is. And you never see any of the big players. You never see Target or Pepsi or any of these people with their taglines on their logos. So we really separate that. We really focus on keeping your branding very clean. And you can always add a tagline somewhere else, on whether it's a business card or a website or something like that. So it's really important to kind of keep those things separate.
Yeah, and we see that quite a bit with logos that we get, where they have taglines, and then when you shrink them down, it just doesn't work. You know, taglines just don't work when you're shrinking down. It causes more problems. The other thing that we see a lot of times with people bring in their logos, the wrong formats, which you touched on earlier, Travis, about it not being in in a vector format, instead it's in a raster format. And so then we have to give them the option of, you know, either they have to go back to their designer and get the right files. And it's amazing too how many designers can't supply those vector formats. And so sometimes we have to actually recreate the logo for them in a vector format, so again they can size it up, they can size it down, and it will work and have the crispness, as you said earlier, Travis, on the website. So I think, Vince, we can jump into the, yeah, I see, here's Facebook. It's very flat.
Yeah, and you can notice their old logo there, plastic design right there. It looks like a plastic button.
The one that's like the fifth in. Yeah, that one. That's an old. Yeah.
Yep.
And then
everything else is very flat and very modern.
And then Twitter too. You saw that too. There's their flat, and then on the second row, third from the left is their older, more plastic design.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vince, did you have any questions, or we can jump into the packages and talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, I was just showing some common ones that people are familiar with that they look at on a regular basis. Actually, you know, when we had Agora, when it was first created, they were using the colors green and light green, and I think he said he was trying to mimic the Seattle Seahawks, but it wasn't looking right with our colorization. So we went back in, and like with the Agora logo, I brought in Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn colors in here because I knew that was a common color that people relate to with internet marketing. That's where, you know, we're strong with Agora's internet marketing. So I wanted them to relate because I know the colors play a really big part. And also cause emotional responses, and these are internet colors. That's why we chose our colors. But I just wanted to kind of show some of the examples out here of what's out there, what you guys are talking about.
The thing with those examples too is, you know, you have to have that clarity of what's the current logo, because people go, well, I see Facebook, they have or there's LinkedIn or any of those where they have the more plastic design. That's an older design. You know, that's like me wearing a mullet right now. It's just not. In fact, depending on what part of depending where you live. But for most places, it's not in fashion. You know, and it's going to make me look dated. So, you know, but people see these older logos and go, well, they did it, so it must be right. But they have to have the perspective going, well, they did that, 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's an old style logo, and everything, again, as we discussed, is flat.
Well, look at all the versions here just on Pepsi. They've been around for years, right? You can kind of see different, like that one right there. See that? You can see how they've kind of changed their logo up throughout the years here.
Yeah, and
but that one probably right there is how we most remember it, right here.
And if I can jump in here, a fun thing with Pepsi and Coca-Cola, I like to point this out. Like, you'll notice the old Pepsi script font. It's on the second row there, first logo, over that bottle cap.
Second row, you just up. Yeah,
that one works
right
there. So they stepped away from that. They didn't want that scripty font anymore. Because they wanted to be the new soda, they wanted to represent freshness and new and what's happening next. And Coca-Cola is all about tradition, so they hold on to their logo, and it's that same scripty font. So they're branding themselves in two totally different parts of people's minds. Coca-Cola wants you to think of tradition. They want you to think of your grandparents and all these things, and Pepsi wants you to think of Britney Spears and like, I'm from the 90s, so she was new. She represented everything new. Now she's kind of older, but that was kind of the thing. Everything was geared towards tomorrow, what's happening next. Pepsi wanted to be the futuristic soda. You saw them in Back to the Future in that diner. They were selling Pepsi, not Coca-Cola. So they position themselves in the future, and Coca-Cola positions themselves in the past. And it's just kind of interesting. These sodas, basically the same sugar water, are positioning themselves in two different places of people's brains, and it's really effective for both of them, really. So.
And I mean, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they're at war, right? We always know about the Pepsi and Coca-Cola war. One thing also, maybe you can, and I know we'll get into your package and all that. Do you see here where Pepsi has an icon image, and then they have the verbiage, and then over here Coca-Cola just has it's just straight verbiage for their logo, right? Or less than they just put like in a circle like that. Can you talk about the importance of like an image or a little icon off to the side? So it has the name, and then they got like that image right there.
Sure. Really, so I want to kind of explain that it's not bad to have just a what we call a typographical logo, and it's not better to have an icon, but having an icon does give you a few extra benefits. Like if you think of Nike or Apple or any of these brands, they can just put their icon out there and just display just that icon, and people understand that. The thing is, you have to kind of build your company up to a point where people can accept that icon as you without adding your text below it. One of my favorite examples of an iconographic logo is Bank of America. They actually place their icon everywhere, all around that text. So I'll tell our clients, because they don't really understand right away what they can do with that little logo type, that little icon. They can move it all around their text or display it just on its own. And so Bank of America, here you can see they have it on all by itself in the first one, to the right in the second one. In the fourth one, they have it below their text. And so they're just kind of placing it everywhere. If you go further down, there's their icon directly above their text. And so they just kind of place it wherever they feel like placing it. So I would say if a big bank like Bank of America can do this with their logo, anybody's absolutely free to do that with theirs. And so having that little icon is really fun because you can kind of place that branding wherever you want, and it gives you more freedom. Where with Coca-Cola, as an example, they're kind of locked in. They have to use that branding exactly the way it is. They can't change it. They can't adjust it. It always has to stay that way wherever they put it. And so it's limiting in some ways, but in other ways it works. So if you think of a header on a website, there's a magazine I like called Motherboard. Their logo is just text all the way across. And it's just very simple, very clean, and that works really well for that setting. But if they were to create a soda, Motherboard's a pretty long word, and that's tough to fit on a soda can or wherever. So you got to kind of think about where your branding is going to be placed, and that's an important question we ask our clients: is what this isn't the website. It's what is it? It's a online website. I don't know the URL, unfortunately, but it's a very strong, bold font.
That's not the one he's thinking. It's a Motherboard. It's a magazine. It's like an online magazine or forum.
Gotcha. Well, let's go with this for now. He's over here.
Sure.
I don't think people realize just something you don't think about every day, but logos play such a part. One thing also is, like this is a good example, getting something to kind of match your name or what you do, right? Like Target, right? So then they have a Target up here, and then that's their name, right? So they have some mixing of what obviously they sell everything, but, you see that right there, and even when people do Targets now, you're like, oh, you immediately think of the store, right? Because of that image right there. But it's also tied in with the name they have too, right? Because that is a Target and there's a Target. And then getting something some congruency with what you do also.
Yep.
But sometimes you can just pull it off where, like why'd they come up with a bird, right? Some people come up with some odd stuff, or even like Google. I think if some people would have first heard this word and said this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company, we call it Google, right? But they established themselves and they stretched out of the box and they created their own identity, and then they owned it, and then became just a multi-billion-dollar company, and we recognize it everywhere now.
Exactly. Exactly, and people don't realize too how much. Most people don't realize how much really work goes and consideration goes into the logo, as a lot of things we've already discussed. And so, there's companies out there, they'll say, oh yeah, for $100 I'll give you 1,000 logos. So all they do is they just throw 1,000 things at you and hope something will stick on the wall. They don't put really any consideration. They're not thinking ahead for your website. They're not thinking ahead for even the bigger picture of your branding and how it's, like Travis said, how it's going to work with your products or your services, or just like Travis was talking about earlier with the fonts. Just for lawyers, a lot of lawyers will go more with the classic fonts because they want to feel respected and trusted, and part of well, just they've got professional. What's the word I'm looking for, Travis? They go with the older fonts. Yeah, distinguished. But then there's other ones that will go more with the newer fonts because they want to be the new lawyer, or they want to so there's no one thing. But what we offer with our packages is premium logos at very affordable prices. And again, the advantage is if we are also going to be doing the website, then we have that continuity moving from the logo into the website as well. And with a lot of these logos that we're working at, major companies, sometimes spend, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on logos. I mean, they spend a lot of time. They test them, they split test them, they market test them, they, research groups, focus groups. I mean, they don't take, for Apple to get here, like if you scroll down a little bit, Vince, there's on the very left, there it is. You see that one that has the 6 icons? That shows you how they progressed. That's a really good one through the years, where they started at, in 76, then in 77 they quickly moved away. And you can see the difference from 1 to 76 was just,
wow.
Yeah, it's not good. But
you got a full-on tree and everything.
Yeah, but in 77 they quickly moved away, and then look, for what, 21 years they held that color logo, the rainbow one, before they moved into the black one. And then a few years later they went with, you can see they went into more plastic designs, and now they're back to the flat design, and that's what they're using today. But this just shows you, so they've spent, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of dollars in this whole progression. Nike is a rare example where the Nike logo was built for minimal money. I mean, they spent almost nothing on it, and it was just kind of a throwaway, and it ended up becoming the icon. And actually, the person that created it got a lot of stuff at the end and made tons and tons of money on it. But for most parts, these big companies are spending tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're not taking their branding lightly because they know the value of strong branding. And we all know Nike, the swoosh, and all these ones you've seen, we all know. And we are visual creatures. So, a text logo can work, but that extra added impact of having the visual, even Adidas, right? You see those 3 little stripes or 3 little bars, and that's Adidas. So having that little extra visual does have a much stronger impact in most cases, not all, but most cases, just because our visual sense is our strongest sense. So the more we can connect with people and then connect them with our message, like you were showing with Target, having that Target, it's such a strong connection that it makes it even more visceral and connects us with Target, as my granddaughter calls it.
Yeah.
So,
and normally you would do a bold red, like, yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. I just wanted to point out, when you go inside the Target store, everything is red. They have that branding color everywhere, and I think it's a good metaphor for how you should think of your website. Your store, Target being the store, is in a way the way people interact with their branding, their company. And so you want your website to reflect that exact same idea. And you want to see those same reds and things like that. I guarantee if you go to Target.com, you're going to see that red everywhere. That's their big thing for their branding is that color red. And it's not just a hard red. It's that was specifically selected, that color.
One thing we do is I throw ours in all over the place, like here, not up in here, but see, I put our symbol inside of that image right there. And because I'm able to use that and then get branding. And then when you come down here, I put a plane over it, right? And so you can kind of see, we've done, and then right here, the business compass, and I changed it. I used our bottom logo in this because we white label or we co-label some products. But it's bringing attention to just Agora, but I'm throwing it in different directions because we're white labeling different products like that. But we're throwing this in wherever we can, or this, throughout the whole website.
Yeah, and that shows you the flexibility of the logo type, just how many different ways you can use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let me double check here. Yeah, someone's talking about the old Apple. Okay, so you want to go? We can go through here.
Yeah, let's go into.
Got some of your designs here, and Franklin, go on, just take over and lead up.
Sure. So as far as the ones you were just showing are just a few examples of the logos that we've done. There's a ton more on our website. Primarily, most of them are logo type or illustrative, meaning, Travis, you can explain illustrative.
Sure. An illustrative logo is a good one. Is the Reno Home Hunter there? If you scroll up, that is totally locked in. A better example really is Little City Homes right next to it. Is that text and that logo need to really be locked together. You could technically pull it apart, but really that just belongs together. It just all works together. Can you keep scrolling down, and I'll point out some other examples. Elite Lifestyle Services, that's locked in. You can't really pull that apart. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. That's just another style. And
it's just another choice.
Yeah, exactly. That branding needs to always work together. These are all logo type logos, so you can just pull the top off and move them wherever you want. John Zahar, the Jay-Z there, that's locked in too.
Yeah, so you can see here there's just a variety of styles and how many different choices there are, and it is very subjective. As part of the process, and we'll talk about the packages when we talk about the packages, but as part of the process, we get as much information. There's two ways that we get the information, and from the client, and we never force the client into a direction. We're going to give our opinion. We're going to tell them the pluses and minuses of, why we recommend going a particular direction. But it's their baby, and it's very subjective. And logos sometimes can go very quickly, and other times, depending on the client, can take quite a while to really get it narrowed down to what they want. Sometimes they'll send us in the wrong direction. They'll say, here I want. We go in that direction. Then once they see it, they go, oh no, I changed my mind. And we'll talk about how. Yeah, and then we'll talk about how that works with the packages that we do as well. So Vince, if you want to jump into the packages. Can you go to the two tabs over to that dental sleep apnea clinic? Here's an example of a text-only logo, and show you how it embeds with the site. So it's if you scroll up a little bit, just scroll down just a hair. There you go. So you see now we lock it into the header, so you can see it works over the blue. And if you scroll back up, you'll see how it sits nicely over top of the image as well. So this is a text one. Text only, and so when we on the packages, that's the most affordable one. it's just doing a text only. But you would think that it would be easy, and we've actually spent more time on text only ones sometimes than we do on the logo types.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the right font, the right color, or not color. I mean, it's not as simple as just throwing up some text, because you can see here how the whole website is using that font, those font choices or fonts that are compatible with that, and so it drives the whole look and feel of the website. Everything revolves, so you have that congruency, that continuity between the logo and the website. So you feel like you're in the right place. You can trust this because it has that congruency.
This is a funny website.
Yeah.
Have you kicking the bear out of the bedroom? Snoring isn't sexy.
Yeah.
And look, you could see but so much branding, right? This is a dark website, but it actually works because they're talking about sleep apnea, right? So
exactly.
And then they got all that kind of they're
I'm sorry to interrupt
trending
you.
everything, yeah.
And there's a great example. You see, we've got their tagline: "Stop snoring, sleep better, and live longer." As part of the splash area, so the tagline is prominent, but it's not up in the top in the header, taking up space and not hardly being able to read. So
and I think they originally wanted that as part of their logo, and we just said that's just too much. I mean, dental sleep apnea clinic alone is pretty long.
Yeah,
that's a lot of information. And so if you want to add that
I
tagline,
almost didn't get it typed in right.
The other thing too with dental sleep apnea clinic, this is a great example too of just all the design choices. We could have stacked apnea clinic under dental sleep, but knowing that if we did that, we know how it would impact the website, because now the header would have to be taller to accommodate it. So that was another design choice. Is if we stack it, then it impacts the website in that particular way. And the client decided to go with it as in this form instead of stacking on top, just to save that space. And I think it actually looked much better anyway. So again, there's all these different things that are behind the scenes or not behind the scenes, but just they're all considerations for even just a text only website. So if you want to jump into the packages. Oops.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, is what I like about working with Pegasus is you can see, you have your logo here, but then look at that picture. The choice of that picture right there, call today, it says everything, right? There's so much being said right here.
Right. And that's actually a video. So
pictures worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, if you hit refresh.
Yeah, if you hit refresh. I like this video concept because it kind of hits the voyeur side of as soon as the video loads, you think you're looking at an image of her just sleeping next to him, and then she comes to life and starts moving around. You realize she's annoyed at this guy snoring right next to her. And then at the end, she just has a mini freak out, and then the image locks there. And it's just pretty fun. I think it has a lot of holding presence for people. People just kind of sit here and watch what's going to happen.
This is great. I mean, this right here, this is what it's really exciting, working with Pegasus, because putting a website together, and I know we're talking about logos, but you can see how this logo, in this instance, it's really cool that they kept it simple, because this video is actually doing the work for them right here. And how the way this is laid out, even this color coordinations are sleep colors, right? This is a great, and these are your, this is what's exciting when you're presenting this product with your clients or potential clients, that they're gonna end up with a knockout logo, and it's gonna work with the website. It really is a nice package putting it all together. All right, let me go back over here. So here, Franklin, are your packages?
Yeah, so the starter package is, as we were just looking on Dental Sleep Apnea Clinic, that's a text-only logo, as opposed to the basic, which is the second package. That is where we now get into the text and icon, so it could be a logo type or illustrative, as we talked about earlier. So basically, all the packages work kind of the same way. Once a person signs up for a logo, we send them an intake form to get information from them. After that, we then meet with them, usually virtually. We have a virtual meeting with them, and then we take them through. We have a process that we take them through, so we can understand what works for their branding, what works for their eye, what they don't like, and so we take them through a whole exercise so we can really get a sense of what they like, because some people go, well, it doesn't matter, I don't really care, and then you take them through the exercise and you see that they're very, very picky, and which is good, and so all the packages start out with that intake form and then the consultation. The bigger the package, the more time we spend in the consultation. Also, the packages is that you see here number of initial designs. So, like with the logo type package, the second package there, the basic one, that one they get 3 initial designs. Now, sometimes our designers come up with more, but we're guaranteeing them at least 3. Sometimes we've delivered 5 or even up to 8. Just depending. Sometimes Travis will get on a roll. And so but we're guaranteeing at least 3 minimum, and it's not, again, we're just creating 3 randomly. We're taking that time up front to really understand them and their business and their likes and dislikes, so that when we come with those designs, they're in the ballpark. And also, Travis, explain the first round how we do it in grayscale.
Sure. Yeah. Before that, I just wanted to talk about, we were interviewing a designer, and she's this big designer in New York, and she wanted to work with us. And she asked a question. I thought it was very telling. She says, "Oh, I assume you guys just go out and find clip art and just kind of use that clip art and recolor that." And she was shocked when I said, "No, we design everything by hand. We sketch everything first. And then we draw it out, and then we, to answer that question now, we then put it into grayscale. And the reason we present the first round of logos in grayscale is people have color biases. So if they see a color they hate, and this took us a while to learn this, if they see a color they hate, they're going to reject that logo. And we've done this with clients in the past where we've given them colors in the first round just to save time or something like that. And it always bites us, because they'll end up, we'll find later that they actually like the look of another logo. They just hated that color so much that they just rejected it. And so it's always better to give grayscale logos first, present them in that way, and then people just look at the layout, the form, and the feel, and they don't have that color bias until later. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, and then what Travis will do, so the first round, what Travis and his team will do is they create PDFs with the designs, and also we send that to the client with a video explaining, here's why this design choice has these things, and here's the advantages to it, the disadvantages to it. So we're not just throwing, hey, here's a PDF, tell us what you think. We take the time to explain so they can understand from a design and a marketing standpoint why we made these choices. And then we get the feedback from the client. They may say, oh, I love number 2, let's go with it. Or they may say, well, I like number 1, can we try this, can we try that? So we get a variety of those, but we come back with the revision. At that point, we introduce the colors. And you can see here, based on the packages, is how many different color options they get. So typically, and then we get their approval. Now, the one thing is that you can see they get different design revisions per package. If you scroll down, Vince, you'll see additional revision costs. So if we get a client that changes their mind, does a reset, or does a 180 on us, which we've had, then that's the cost per additional so for the lower packages, the revision cost is more compared to the higher packages. But they do, and we let them know, like, look, okay, you're now, this is your second revision or third revision. And, so we've had one client who he changed his mind quite a few times. And he ended up with, I think, 5 or 6 revisions, but he was happy to pay for it because he at the end, he was very, very happy with what he got. And he took responsibility that it was him changing his mind and, not us missing the mark. Now, if we miss the mark, if we just come and the client says, you totally missed it, which we get once in a great while, we're not perfect, and sometimes we miss it, we take responsibility for that and we won't charge the client. And we've done that a few times, but that's if we miss the mark. But again, we spend so much time up front with them, with the intake form and with the consultation. We're usually really, 95% of the time, we're really, really clear on what the client is looking for and what to deliver to them. There is also,
and we want them. Oh yeah, and we want them to love it too. Franklin always mentions that, and that's true. We want the clients to love their logo, to walk away with it and have pride in it, because it's going to be the face of their business. It's going to be the face of the thing that they love, that they've created. Everything that is wrapped around it. They have all that emotional content built into that, and we want them to love their logo. It's really important.
Absolutely, and so the turnaround time you can see here is in business days. Now there is we try to get them done as quickly as possible. So this is, we're giving them more of the worst case, so they set expectations of what a logo takes. But there is, so if a client says, I got to have it in a week, or I got to, then we do offer the rush charge, which, we can expedite and put it to the top of the queue and get it done faster. Once the logo is done and the client has accepted it, you'll see there it says logo delivery package. So what we give them, it's amazing how many other people don't, because, we see this all the time, and we say, okay, can you send us your logo? And they'll send us a JPEG, and we'll go, where's the AI, or where's the EPS? And I don't know, let me go back to the designer, get it. So what we send them is the package, so they get the AI and EPS. So that's the vector format. So that can be used for printing, for any other design work that's being done, and it's on any size, again, from billboard to a pen. We give them the PNG and the JPEG files, so that's what they would use for the online to use that. And we also include a style guide, which, Travis, you want to just quickly let them know what a style guide is?
Sure. Yeah, no, I was showing a new designer that we have how we put together a style guide, and she thought it was really clever. She's done print work and stuff in the past. So the style guide is a really simple way. It's a quick tool for any designer to just quickly open it, and they can figure out exactly what your branding colors are right away, how your logos can interact with those colors. So usually we'll have the full color logo at the top. Below that, we'll have the black version of that logo, and below that, we'll have the white version of that logo. And the white version we usually place over top of the branding colors. And then above all of that, we have the brand fonts. And we even include those fonts in the logo pack. So that way you can take that logo pack, hand it to any designer who's going to design anything for you. And they can hit the ground running with everything that your branding needs. Your colors and your fonts.
Keep it consistent. Yep,
exactly.
And you made me think of something on the fonts. That's another big issue that people don't realize is we get logos that have fonts that are not web-safe fonts. So we can't reproduce those, or we can come close, but we can't match them exactly. So when we design logos, we make sure they're all web-safe fonts so that they will translate not only from the print space, but to the web space as well, without any problem. So web-safe fonts is a big, big component. It's one of those little details that makes a big, big difference. Vince, you have any questions?
It looks like, Gene, you have a question out there. Do you have your phone on? I'm going to go ahead and open it up for some people out in the field to ask questions.
Okay.
Looks like Gene has a question. Gene, are you there? Give her a chance to take us off and mute. But yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Okay, so Gene, you had a question?
yeah, just curious if an example of that style guide could be put on the Agora site as an extra, sales note as we're selling logos. Or is that proprietary?
No, it's not proprietary. I don't, I mean, we could show an example of it.
Or just information about it so they understand what else they're getting.
We'll just put on our site, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is
That's
crucial,
a good idea. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, we're always adding to the website to make it better because one has many tools on there. But you guys can see I really enjoyed going through all like Apple and Pepsi and all these because you really can see the importance and the impact that logo has and how you identify with that product or service almost immediately, and then it has a lasting impact in your mind. And then every time you see that logo, you're going to think of that company and however they market, either good or bad. It'll give you a good feeling, a bad feeling. And so it really is important when you're dealing with your clients. Some companies don't realize the importance, and then they'll just throw something out there. But it really does represent their company, and it really goes into all of their marketing pieces. And as far as branding, some people have to see something 7 times before they even respond or trust it. And so when you start taking that logo, you want to start dropping it everywhere, bam, 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 like all over the place, on your marketing materials, on your pins, TV ads, handouts on the website, all over Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, on your videos. It goes everywhere. So it really is important to invest and get a really good logo that can be used everywhere and then the client does have to, and as much as we might tell them, like, okay, the logo like this, the client actually has to walk away and really feel good about that logo also. That's why I'm glad you guys take care in making sure the client walks away, because we could have our opinions, but also that it's kind of like wearing clothing. Like, what does that client want to wear or for his company? Like, how does he want to be represented? So there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot more that goes into what meets the eye.
Hey,
this is Troy. Yes, Troy.
Hey, so when you guys do animated logos, when you're doing one for web versus something where you might use it for video, is there a difference between how you approach those two, or is it just a matter of formatting?
Well, that's an excellent question. The tricky part with anything, especially with animated logos, is you can't really have that vector artwork like we were talking earlier. It has to be in a raster format in so many frames a second. So what we do is we render for that project. And if it's a website, we usually render smaller. If it's for a video, we render a lot larger. And these days, you're up into 4K or something like that. So we do have to consider that, and that's a big part of the intake process is what are you going to ultimately be using this logo for? I mean, if it's for a YouTube video, although YouTube videos these days do reach into 4K, but I mean, if it's a smaller project like a Facebook video or something like that, we can render out a smaller version of that animated logo. But usually the delivery with that, we do provide multiple sizes. But with video, we really, really, really want to know where that animated logo is going to ultimately be displayed. Because we do want to avoid that fuzziness. Because it is raster image, it will be fuzzy when you shrink it or expand it out. You've probably noticed that with video. When you're not viewing it on the correct size, everything just kind of looks a little fuzzy. We want everything to look really crisp and designed specifically for that format.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions out there? So, do you have any examples that I can show them of an animated logo that I could pull up by chance? I know I didn't have one ready to go. I should have asked you before the call, but do you have one I could pull up by chance easily?
Not right now. We don't have any on our website, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
closest,
mean,
the closest would be Terra Painting, but that's not really an animated
logo. That's just an animated project.
Yeah, yeah.
Behind it, using their logo.
So we'll get you. We do have one, but I want to make sure with the client that it's okay, because of their industry, they're a little proprietary. So we'll get you an example of that.
Okay. Now, one thing, this is, I want to just kind of show you guys something. What we did with the Agora logo here. Make sure the volume's not too high. See, we took our logo, PNG, and then put it in that, and I used that for all of our videos. So I put that at the beginning and the end, and then put some music on it if you guys do something different. But yeah, this is a very important. The more you get into it, you realize, like, wow, it really is the logo is the foundation of just about everything they do online and all marketing materials, where the direction of the company is, how they represent it. It's so important. And some people will charge up to $700, for a logo. So this right here is well worth it, because that logo is going to stick with them for the life of their company. So to do it right, and do it right the first time is so important, especially when all the applications you're going to be putting it on.
Yeah, and to add to that, Vince, we used to sell the basic package at $750. That's what we used to sell it at, and now you're even offering the discount of what we sell it at.
Yeah, we can go over here. Let's go into here. We'll go into the plans. So here's normally $197, and so this is our prices right here that we have. We have it reflected on that sheet right there. $397 for the basic, $497. Then you got your platinum right there. And then if you do have a sale on this, we also have a form. So once you decide on what someone wants, what logo package they'd like to get, when you come over here, after they have the purchase, then you want to come back over here and fill this form out for them. And just a quick intake form right here. You want to go through this, Franklin, real quick, some of the important stuff you guys need?
Well, Travis.
Okay,
sure.
Travis.
Yeah, so if you start at the top, we just ask basic company info. Obviously, we need the contact info and things like that, so we know who to contact. And then down below that, you see your business. We ask a bunch of questions about what is it that you do, and who do you serve? What's your demographic? What are your goals? Things like that. And so we ask all that because we want to know where that logo is going to be placed in the world, how it's going to be perceived, and things like that. If you want to be a tattoo artist, you probably want an edgier logo. You probably want something with spikes and a little grunge added to it. If you're going to be a doctor, you probably want something very clean and clinical and very nice. And then down below that, we ask, do you have a logo? Can we see, anything like that? And then we directly start asking, what colors do you like, or what colors do you dislike, or, do you want to keep your old branding colors? Are you attached to those? Because we found this with a lot of our clients is they have logos and they want to update, but they're very attached. With one client, she said, "It's my baby." She grew up with that logo. She's been working with that logo for years and years, and she's very attached to it. And so we just kind of want to get people's feelings on where they are with their branding, how they feel about their branding, if they do want to move forward, or if they want to start anew. What colors are you interested in? What other logos out there grab your eye and your attention? And then when we do the actual meeting, that's a very personal experience, because we have them go through our logos and tear our logos apart. And we tell them what they hate, or we ask them what they hate about our logos, and then we ask them what they love about our logos. And sometimes they hate more than they love, and that's totally fine, because every time they open their mouth and give us feedback on anything, it allows us to understand them a little more and what they want to do with their branding. So this intake form is very important to us.
Yeah, the more information that they can give you, that you can get here, the faster the process will be, the better the experience will be, and the outcome can occur. You know, for them walking away, just like, wow, that's exactly what I want. Because you got to realize the person might have an idea in their head and mind, but it's hard to relay that. So as much information as you can get, and then when you have a good logo artist, they'll come in and they'll take that and they'll capture the essence of their company and what they want, look and feel. But this is very important to get this filled out. We do this on all their products. And then contact here. If you have any questions, you can call right here at the office and get a hold of them. Then we have the support. And then what I'll do is we'll end the call and I'll just go over the commission breakdown here. So this is how much we're selling the different packages for. And this is how much CV, commissionable value, goes into the comp plan on each of these packages. And then this is how much you can make on each one of these, on the basic $49, the plus. And then this right here goes into the comp plan, so like your upline, bonus pools, and things like that, that's where the rest of the money is going into. And then you're pulling down 45% of what comes in. So are there any other questions? Great call. I love stuff like this. I love thinking about it, going over it. I mean, it's pretty cool when you look at all these other logos, and, you know, we're probably even just talking about Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. You know, hopefully you'll never be the same again when you look at all these. But so much goes into it, even when it's simple. Sometimes that's the whole game plan, to make it simple. And there's whole think tanks to get together. So creating a powerful logo, this plays such a huge part in all that we do with Agora. And we had, I really feel it's important that the company that's creating the website also be a part of the logo making, because it all ties together and it just has a greater long-lasting impact. And like they said, they're adding all the other stuff, different formats and stuff, and that makes a big difference. So with that being said, I'll open up for a few more questions. We might have answered it. I think you guys did a really good job today. Are there any other questions by chance? Hopefully this was a good learning experience. When I worked for Yellow Pages, when I first started into marketing, a lot of companies, we would start putting ads together. And our bosses would sit down and we would just go over logos and we would go over designs and then and layouts. And, you know, some people put their logo too big on their site. And, you know, I said, no, your offer needs to be bigger. It needs to be placed in a certain place, and unless you're a big name like Geico or something. But during those talks, I learned so much. I learned about colors. I learned about placement, design, and it really made a difference, especially during the Yellow Page days, because getting response, getting people to call, you know, putting it all together. So as you sit in on these calls and you go over this stuff and you get a chance to see this, the inner workings, you really will be growing. And with that knowledge, when you go into a business owner, you're going to be able to really help them and give them good advice, sound advice, like, hey, your website, like I'm dealing with a client right now, and Franklin and I are, and it's like his logo was just too big on his site, didn't have his offer, and the whole thing was it just wasn't flowing right. And here he's spending money to drive traffic to it, and I know his conversions aren't going to be high, because at the end of the day, it's all about these people getting customers and the representation of their company. People make judgments on companies about 0.05 seconds on a website, and it all starts with that logo and then intertwines to that whole website. And if they don't have a good feeling about it, they'll just click away and think, oh, this is a rinky-dink company. You know, a company that won't even spend time on representatives correctly. Why would I want them to work for me? They may not do a good job for me. It's subliminal messages that go on in the back of the head. So all of this plays such an important role in the representation of a company on the internet, because of the response it will get from their clients, and it will be the difference of them making a sale or not making a sale in the long run. That's why all of this is really important, because the ultimate goal is to help the business owner just get sales and close deals. And it also, it really starts with the logo, build out to the website, put it on all the marketing materials, all the social media, and it just has a high impact on the community, which in result with sales and closed deals. So thank you very much, Franklin and Travis. Is there anything you guys want to add to it?
You're welcome.
You guys did a great job. I'm really excited working with you guys.
Same here.
Franklin and I, we're just submitting deals left and right, man. I've got more I'm working on this week, and it's just a real pleasure working with Franklin and his team at Pegasus and Travis, because they're highly professional. They take care of your customer. They understand marketing. They get the job done. They get great results, and it's just exciting working with a great vendor like this. So with that being said, our time is up. So thank you, everyone, and have a good day.